This is Saturday Morning Mysteries.
And we're your hosts, Alexis and Grace. Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of Saturday Morning Mysteries, the last episode of the year of Saturday Morning
Literally
Mysteries.
on the last day of the year.
Literally. And we are your hosts. I'm Alexis.
I'm Grace.
And today is very special because not only is it the last day of our December, winter, holiday, Christmas, New Year's, whatever arc, but it's also the last day of the year 2022. And it is also the last day of, I guess, what do we want to call it? Like season one, year one of
year
our
one,
podcast?
yeah.
Year one.
I'm not going to break it up into
here,
seasons.
Not by seasons. Yeah,
on the back end, it's too much.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So what does that mean? It means that starting in January, we're going to take just a little break. We promise we'll be back, but a little break so that we can kind of recalibrate, get episodes ready for next year, aka starting in February of next year. Because with it being December, the holidays and all of this, we're very busy traveling, doing just loads of things. Our birthdays are both in the next few weeks too. Most important. Baby Jesus who? New Year's what?
I mean, at the time of this airing of the episode, I'm already 30. So I'm much older and wiser, and you're about to be turning 30.
Have we just figured out the key to time travel?
We're doing it right now. Whoa!
Are we in the past or the future right now? It's the future's
We're speaking
past.
in the past, but they're listening in the future.
We're in the future's past. That's how I'm describing it. Anyway, So yes, we'll be back in February with new episodes, but we're going to just take some time to chill and enjoy the holidays and get things reloaded for next year. But to that end, Grace has our last December themed episode for us today. So I'm going to hand it on off to her.
Thank you very much. So yes, we will be wrapping up 2022 and coming into 2023 in a new city, but with old friends this episode. Ooh. Scooby and the gang.
Yay! We are ending it exactly how we started.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. And that was the inspiration for this whole pod.
It was. We owe a lot to Scooby.
Actually, around this time last year, when we were both back in Ohio for Christmas, grabbed coffee.
Yeah. That's how it all started. It's been almost exactly 1 year since this podcast idea even came to fruition. Yes. I'm sure Justin would require credit in this moment because he was present for the conversation. So he was there. He was drinking coffee too. He helped drive the conversation. He was kind of like our focus group as we were workshopping the ideas. He chuckled and we were like, okay, cool. We'll go with it. He laughed. It's funny. We're done.
We did it.
We got a podcast, y'all.
Yes. So today's episode obviously is New Year's themed. And technically this episode of Scooby-Doo is happening during the Chinese New Year, which is later in January. But there aren't that many like New Year's Eve or New Year's cartoon crime episodes. And because we can do whatever we want on this show. So I'm telling the story now. Today.
It's a new year for a lot of people around the world, so it counts.
Exactly.
We're global here. We're global.
Yeah, exactly. So, like your Christmas Eve Scooby episode, so it would have been last week's episode, it's like kind of ambiguous as to where exactly the gang is for this. We're maybe in Hong Kong, Shanghai, or perhaps like Chinatown in San Francisco. It's super not clear because the gang and other people speak English, but it turns out that multiple members of the gang know, speak, and read Chinese and do so in this episode.
That is very impressive.
Including Scooby, I think at one point, at least reads it. Yeah, it's very impressive. Yes.
Wow. Wait, sorry. Did you say which like iteration of Scooby-Doo this is?
Oh, I did not. This is Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? And I think this episode came out in like I wrote it down later because the year later is relevant. I think 1970.
Okay, got you. I guess I just wanted to know if it was like like a newer one or something, or maybe they had like translators on their phones or something. Nope.
They just know Chinese.
Just okay, cool.
Yes,
Awesome.
it's very impressive.
Love it. I wish it was that easy.
I know, especially like Mandarin or something, like a very hard language to learn. Yeah. They know it.
They know it.
Yeah, toss. So that was their resolution last year, was to learn Chinese
for this year.
by this time this year.
Right.
And they
did it. Good for
them.
them.
Good luck with everyone else's New Year's resolutions. So again, we don't actually know where this goes down, but I like to think that the gang is actually in China, some city in China, and I'll get into that later as to why my theory I think is relevant, because there will be some very brief wild speculation and theorizing at the end, because we can. So before we actually join the gang on New Year's, we see kind of like a little bit of a spooky scene in the hillside surrounding this town. It's in like we see basically it's like a pagoda style temple, and it's nestled into the side of a hill, but it's nighttime and it doesn't look to be inhabited at all. All of the lights are off, and it's in stark contrast to kind of the valley below where the city is, and there's lots of lights. You can hear noise coming from it. It's New Year's. People are having a great time. There's fireworks, the whole 9 yards. And as we like the camera like very coolly like kind of pans and then starts to zoom in to the temple, and bats are flying out of it. And beyond that, it's completely quiet until we enter like the main, I guess, I don't know, like, I want to say like hall of the temple. I don't like really know what it would be called. The main worship area.
Sanctuary, maybe. What are those called?
Yeah, I think so.
Like and I forget.
Yeah, and it's like very quiet and like very ornate. And then all of a sudden, these green flames erupt like out of the floor. And we see on one side of the green flames that there are two figures fully dressed in like black cloaks and a white mask, just calmly watching the flames, not reacting, not absolutely terrified that these flames just busted out of the floor.
And they're green.
And yes, bright green, seems like radiation of some variety. Not safe. Yes, the radiation.
Yes. Absorb it.
Yes. Our New Year's resolutions become radioactive.
Yeah.
So as the flames dwindle, we see kind of like the rest of this like main hall, in which there's like this enormous, almost like Buddha-like statue. And right in front of him, there's another figure in a hooded white robe. And so the other two are in a black robe. This one's in a white robe with a white mask, standing where the flames once were. So he almost emerges from the flames. And all we see him do is point a finger at the black cloaked men and demand that they go find the mask and not to return until they have it.
Okay.
Yes. And again, the black cloaked figures completely like no reaction of the green flames. Like this other guy literally just like threatened them basically, and they're just like, okay. And they go off into the shadows outside the temple.
Like almost mindlessly, or just
they're like cool with the situation. They're like,
got you. Okay. It's not like a like hypnosis type thing. Just
they're just like, okay.
Henchmen,
got you.
Essentially.
Yeah. Like, thanks for the cool green flames. We're on it. So as that spooky, ominous stuff is going on, we now join the gang who are on the streets of this unknown city celebrating the new year, because no matter when the new year comes during a certain culture celebrations, there's one thing that every human being knows how to do. Have a good ass time on New Year's, baby.
Party.
Yep. And if we know anything, it's we know the gang loves a good party. We'll do anything to save a good party.
Anything. They will not travel across the globe just for their parties to get canceled. No.
No, sir. No, sir. So in this case, the party down the streets, like I said, there's fireworks going off. There's this huge parade that has like the, like multi-person like dragon and like Chinese dragons. There's music, there's dancing, there's like crowds of people that are like, there's like markets. So people are like shopping and eating and like going in and out of stores. I assume people are drinking because it's a party and just generally like having a good ass time.
Yeah.
So like I mentioned, I think that they are actually in China for this. And specifically, first part of my theory here is that, because I was like, how the fuck did they get to China? Like, what are they randomly doing here? What is this? So briefly, I think that Daphne's dad, Mr. Blake, had like a business trip or something like that in China. And so, yeah, the gang just kind of like tagged along for the holiday. And I assume Daphne probably goes on trips with her dad often to all these international places. But her parents are probably like out doing like schwanky New Year's stuff and just like,
or like actually business.
Right, exactly. Business. And like Daphne and the kids and the gang are just like left to their own devices to like explore, et cetera, et cetera. So Daphne, who is the international traveler here, like showing the gang around and decides like, it's time to do some shopping. Like, this is a dope area. We're having a good ass time. And so they start like popping in and out of shops, like checking out like the local wares, you know, like a bunch of cool stuff, grabbing some bites of food along the way. And they pop into what they called like a curio shop. And it's run by this old man who we'll just call him the shop owner because came out in 1970.
Yeah, I know.
There's a lot of problematic things that happen in this episode.
Okay.
With names, with accents, with how people are drawn. And we're going to leave it like that. And it feels like a little weird to be like, I'm going to take away someone's name. I will say, like, I actually also didn't write down the shop owner's name, so I don't remember it. But there with other people who also
but there's
come
more
up,
than one reason why.
Yes, is because some of the names I was like, this paired with how they were drawn and how they speak seems like it came out in 1970. So we'll refer to him as shop owner, curio shop owner, if you will.
Great.
So the shop owner immediately greets them, and I think like not even takes a second to like spot that like Daphne is like the money bags of the gang. She's like picking up objects left and right. This shop has some like pretty exorbitantly like expensive items, and she's just like not even flinching at the price tags. So he comes and speaks to her, you know, kind of like trying to get the vibe of what she's looking for.
Make a sale.
Exactly. He's trying to make a sale, start off that new year with some cash, basically. So
American currency.
Yep. There's a lot of fine art in here. There's like statues and paintings and sculptures and stones. And again, he's kind of like guiding through the shop, again, trying to like see what catches her eye. And something finally does. And it's this gold mask of a monkey that has like this giant ruby dead center in the forehead. And Velma is like, this is pretty cool. Yeah, like, why not? And Fred is like, no. Like, let's not get this. He's kind of like weirded out by it. Or he sees the price tag and is like, Daphne, like, this shit is real expensive. Like,
chill out,
girl, come on. Daphne literally shrugs and just goes, this looks groovy. I'll take it. Curio shop owner is like, okay, sounds good.
You'll take it?
Yes. No even bartering on this.
Exactly.
Girl, yes. It will look great on you. It is groovy. Let's
Oh my God, could you imagine her putting that mask on? It'll look great on you.
It's also like maybe actually an insult being like that mask covering your whole face would look great.
You would look so much better with this on.
You know, maybe we'll say there was some lost in translation. Like they're good at Chinese, but maybe they're not like perfectly fluent, like colloquially or something like that.
Yeah.
So anyways, they leave the store, like mask wrapped up for Daphne, and she is like stoked on this new buy. They continue to like go shopping and like meld back into the crowd and the party. But as they do, we stay on the shop where we see the two figures in black enter into the shop. Like they kind of come around the corner and enter into the shop to find the shop owner. And then we see the gang having a great bite to eat. So they're there. They're like, music's bumping. Daphne is like talking about how stoked she is on this purchase and like what a great find it was. And then they get back up to keep enjoying the party. But they take a wrong corner because like they're teenagers in a foreign city.
Yeah.
They don't have smartphones. It makes sense. They turn down an alleyway and they're like, okay, well, whatever. This is obviously not the right street. So let's just turn back around and go back to the party. But as they spin around, the two figures in black step into the alley and block their way out, which I want to note is fucking terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Freddie Floret.
Yeah. Some like real world scary shit of just like I'm blocked into an alleyway by two giant figures like
in cloaks.
In cloaks, and I can't see their faces because they're masked. Like
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No, that's like where Scooby toes the line to be like, that's too real. No,
right. Like Scooby, be careful what you do next because you may scare away your fan base.
Yeah, exactly.
How far are you willing to take this?
And interestingly, unsure if this is like good or bad advice that the writers do go with next, because Velma is unbothered by this, and she is basically just like, who the hell are you? She doesn't say hell, but that's like the tone of voice. And they point, they like
roll down their windows and like talk to them.
No, they're all walking.
Okay. Sorry. Sorry. I was thinking they were in the Mystery Machine. My bad. Sorry.
No. Yeah. Everyone's walking.
That's even scarier now.
So when you said Florida, I assumed you meant like just run book out of there.
Also too, but no.
No, they are on foot right now. And the cloaked figures ignore Velma entirely and point at Daphne and basically just like are saying like, mask, like give us the mask. And Daphne, which again, I don't know, in a mugging situation, just like throw your wallet and run. Daphne goes, this is mine. So it also makes me wonder, like, has Daphne gotten mugged before? Like, has she never gotten mugged and doesn't know how to handle it? Or has she gotten mugged and like facing a bear?
Like, you're bluffing.
To be, like, more confident. Exactly. She's like, you have nothing under those cloaks. Like, get out of my way. Type of thing. So it's like unclear. But,
maybe every time she goes out, she's used to having like bodyguards with her. So she's just like, I never actually get mugged. It never works. She's like, shit, that's right. I am unprotected right now.
And like, I will say of note of like, one, again, maybe not the best advice in this situation to give children watching this, but two, like, it's only the women in this situation who are like, oh, what do you think you're going to do about it? Giant figures in cloaks, and like all of the men are just like, oh god, we're gonna die. So like, you go Daphne and Velma in 1970.
Yeah, I guess, unless these figures are actually capable of killing them. But like, yes,
again, like not the
be
move,
strong,
probably.
Be the strength of Mystery Inc.
Exactly, they are the
someone there needs a spine. Exactly,
truly. So I will say that interestingly, it seems like Daphne is definitely, we mentioned in the past, it was a purveyor of fine goods. And I think in this moment, she really is like, I must have gotten something real good that like, these people are trying to chase this down. Like, I got some good shit right here. Interesting. And thankfully, Scooby actually does get a spine and he steps up, he starts growling at them, somehow distracts them, and the gang is able to slip out of the alleyway and go back into the giant party crowd. And Daphne, again, like teed off that like, I got something good. Like this mask I just bought, like that shop owner was like underpricing it. I gotta go see what I actually got here. So her family happens to know an art dealer in town.
Of course.
Naturally, a fine arts dealer. So she takes them to the art dealer to appraise the mask and like figure out what's going on. Like, what's the real value of this mask? So again, they are able to make it to the art dealer, who happens to be open on New Year's Eve. which like, fine.
Okay.
Maybe he's having
it's
a
a
party.
one-man shop or that. Yeah.
Yes. So I went with he's having a party somewhere else in the shop. Cause like what a cool place to have a New Year's party is an art gallery. It's like on the main strip. And they're having a good time. Anyways, so they go and Daphne shows the art dealer the mask and he immediately is like blown away by it. Okay. He like gathers the gang in and essentially explains that this is an incredibly ancient mask. He can tell that it's from literally centuries ago. And based on all that he's read in like his line of work, he believes that this is actually a stolen artifact, stolen from the gang's favorite, a crypt / grave /
Freddie just
tomb.
got excited. Freddie's like, oh,
Fred was
now like, I'm into this.
Where is the tomb?
Crypt, you say? Daphne, I'm so glad you bought this. He flips the script like, see, I told you to get this, Daphne.
He gaslights her.
Yeah.
Daphne, what would you have been doing without me there? I'm the one who found it in the shop and told you to buy it, Daphne.
You would have never gotten this without me.
God, I'm so smart and brave.
I have such a good eye.
I have such a good eye for art. Yeah. And so where exactly is the notepad out? Where exactly is this? Oh, no, we want to go return it.
Return it.
There's still other goods in there, right? What's the address? Perfect. Let's go, gang.
Cool. To the crypt, he already has a shovel out. It's like you need a shovel for a crypt.
It's like a travel shovel. He whips it and it like clicks into place like a tent pole or something. Like, where is this crypt? It's my travel shovel.
Yeah. Freddie, he needs help.
Oh, Freddie, international crimes here.
Yeah.
So specifically, the art dealer explains that he believes this was one of the pieces stolen from a great ancient warlord of old. And they tell the art dealer that about the cloaked figures in like the white masks. And the art dealer is like, oh shit, like you guys should not be fucking with this type of stuff. Basically saying there's always been rumors that essentially like the soldiers of this warlord, like his ghosts, are in search of the stolen mask to bring back to their warlord. And he says that as long as you own the mask, you are in grave danger. And he's kind of just like, so like y'all want to leave, right? You want to get out of my shop, like you basically like don't bring that like person to my home.
The longer you stay here, the graver the danger I am in.
Yes. So he's like, he's like not upset by them leaving. Yeah. And I will say though, like this only fuels Daphne's fire even more of being like, I've got something good on my hands.
I'm a winner.
And this is my mask. I think she probably in her head, I should have looked this up before, but now just thinking of it, like was like Sotheby's, like auction house, like whatever the like really, really fancy, like millions and millions of dollars per piece. She's probably like, I'm going to dial them up as soon as we get back to the hotel.
Pass this curse on to someone else.
I will say, it is like a smidge maybe problematic that like this is clearly a technically stolen artifact and that like Daphne is like, no, this is mine.
Yeah, so lots of red flags here.
There's no like, let's bring it back to where it should be. It's like, I bought it, finders keepers.
I feel like this is like the rare example from the older Scooby-Doo episodes too, where Daphne she's like a focal point. Right in this episode, and then it's
I actually talk about that later.
And she's a horrible person though.
Sorry, right, okay, so she still needed the redemption arc that like your episode finally gave her of like giving her some stuff
like
going
30
on.
years later.
Exactly. We'll examine Daphne as we go throughout this.
Okay, I'll stop right there then.
No. I would say keep going because we're gonna do some speculation.
Okay. Cool.
But the rest of the gang is like very spooked by this, and they're no longer willing to just like wander in these streets, kind of like out in the open. So they do indeed get into the mystery machine here in China.
They had it shipped over. Damn, to be rich, Man, the
What a
Blakes.
life.
Actually, the Blakes probably have like a massive jet. They probably just drove it on the jet. They don't have like one of those little private, like small charters. They have like a
No, they're
massive,
full
yeah,
on.
like an
Yes,
Airbus.
100%. Yeah, and like they still made the rest of the gang, if like they weren't Daphne or her parents, sit not in first class. Everyone else still had to sit like the cargo.
They were
like,
sitting in the mystery machine.
Yeah. And Daphne and her family are out there like eating caviar, drinking like Dom Perignon, the fanciest. So they get into the mystery machine. I assume probably like driving back to the hotel because again, the rest of the gang is like, okay, like stuff started to get a little too wild. Like we just want to get back home and relax. Again, maybe Daphne's ready to call the auction house and start getting some bids on this mask. It's unclear. But as they're driving, Fred does notice that there's a black car following them. And on closer inspection in the mirror, he sees that it's being driven by two figures with white masks.
Oh gosh.
With black cloaks on. Exactly. That's what I wrote down, which is very scary because it means ghosts can drive. That's what I wrote. But even scarier because like I in this episode it kind of gets interchanged, like the word ghost and zombie, which also means that zombies can drive. Either way, it's an undead of sorts.
I think
that exactly.
Would be more terrifying. That would be even more terrifying.
Exactly. Because like in like ghost lore, like ghosts can like already walk through shit. So it's like, okay, fine. But there's like a million like, okay, zombie.
We'll give you a car. Cool. But yeah, no zombies.
Right, exactly. Like
that's
ghosts,
a problem.
You can't get away. Zombies, there's usually an escape route. But if they can drive all of a sudden,
we're screwed.
So Fred does now floor it to try and get away. But they don't know where they are. This is a new city. There's no GPS. He like swings around the corner and this time, unfortunately, straight into like a wharf of some variety. And they spin out and crash into a pile of fish, which probably smells real bad and real disgusting. But of course, as this is still an early iteration of Scooby-Doo, Daphne's personality is still not that complex. And so in the fracas of trying to get out of the fish pile, Daphne gets kidnapped by the ghost zombies, and we see her bound and gagged in the back of the black car as they suddenly are, driving away. They've got the mask. They've got Daphne. They are speeding out of here.
Oh, gosh.
So as the rest of the gang like gets out, sees that this has happened, they're like running to get the mystery machine up so they can follow it, but it speeds away too quickly. Luckily, however, Velma does find a piece of paper on the ground that must have fallen presumably out of one of the pockets of the cloaks. And we see them looking on the front of the piece of paper, which is where we really learn that like basically everyone knows Chinese. It's a laundry ticket, because ghosts and zombies also apparently have to do laundry. But on the back, there is a script that no one can read. No one, that is, until Scooby notices Velma kind of holding it up near the mystery machine, and the script reflects back in like the mirror of the car, where Scooby realizes that it's simply English written backwards. So they can read Chinese. They can't recognize backwards English letters.
Remember, they also know ancient Aztec as well.
Oh, yes, Velma does. That's true. But you turn an E around, never seen it before in my life.
What is this alienese?
It's alien language.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So what it says in English on the back, backwards, but simply says the temple in the hills, which is very ominous. And more ominous, Velma like kind of slowly nods because she knows this temple. She knows that it's haunted and that it's deeply abandoned. But their friend just got kidnapped and this is the only thing they really got going. So they head right up to that temple. And of course, it's the same temple from the beginning of the episode, because wouldn't it be weird if it was just a totally different temple?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's like not even in China.
Yeah,
some other temple. Like, oh,
yeah, like
okay.
completely different.
I wonder why they
like,
showed us that one before.
yeah, huh. Whatever. Guess it's
Also,
fine.
very quickly, can I just say, I'm pretty sure the real reason they know to go there to this very scary sounding haunted temple is because they're like, pretty sure the Blakes are going to make us pay for this trip if we don't come back with their daughter.
They're like, if there's a ransom, they're going to blame us. We should probably get her back.
Yeah.
Only
Or at
real
least like if
awkward.
we also get kidnapped with her, then they'll feel compelled to get all of us back rather than like just Daphne on her own.
They're actually going to like act like to fake getting kidnapped so that when they like the Blakes pay the ransom, it's for all of them, and then they can also just walk out being like, oh, it was so bad in there. We couldn't
figure that out.
We all got kidnapped. And they're like, we got Daphne 48 hours ago. Like, where have you guys been? The kidnappers gave her back.
Oops.
So they go to the temple, which is apparently very easy to find. And they enter quietly, which again, it's very ornate. It's like all like wood and like a black, like almost like onyx stone everywhere, or like obsidian. There's like no signs of life, not even the bats there anymore. But when they walk into the main hall of the temple, the green flames fire out of the floor again, and then suddenly are gone. But are you wondering about the green flame situation?
Yeah, keep going. Go ahead, though. I'm just still perplexed about green flames.
Good. Ask me at the end about it.
Okay, I will.
Okay, put a pin in it.
And I mean, it's also terrifying too. Like, I'm just
yeah, for sure.
All
definitely,
that,
oogie spooky, but also like mechanically. Ask me about it at the end.
Okay.
So, again, find the main temple room. When the flames go away, they see the big statue, but they don't see any like cloaked figures, but they do see like a couple more like halls and like doors leading off this main temple. And so to save time in scouring like what they saw driving up to it is like a huge temple, they split up to try and find Daphne, or like to see if this is even a waste of their time or not. But as the gang splits up, we do see kind of like from the shadows of this room, the white cloaked figure who is now wearing the monkey mask with the ruby in the center. He's watching the gang go deeper into the temple. So luckily, in one of the halls, Fred and Velma, because obviously I didn't even have to explain how the split up went, obviously Shaggy and Scooby, Fred and Velma. Yes, it's assumed. So Fred and Velma, they kind of find like a smaller version of like that main like Buddha-esque statue. And they notice that like, even though like the rest of this temple looks like very untouched, like there's dust on things, this one doesn't have any dust on it. And so they kind of like, I don't know, like lean on it or push it or something like that. And its classic temple starts to move the wall behind it, revealing a hidden room with Daphne in it. Who is fully like bound to a chair and gagged and is like making
I will
noises.
say that's one consistent thing about Daphne. She knows how to get kidnapped.
She knows how to get kidnapped real good. And I will say, in this moment as well, to Daphne's credit, because Fred and Velma like run in to like, undo like the binds and like the gag and that kind of stuff, but she's like violently shaking her head. And as soon as they pull the gag out from her mouth, she shouts at them to run. This is a trap. And as soon as Fred and Velma turn to run, the door/wall slams behind them, trapping all three of them in there. So again, to Daphne's credit, she was like shaking her head, being like, no, don't come in here. Don't come in here.
Me. Got you. It's hard to understand with the whole gagging
exactly with the
thing. Daphne, damn,
going on.
She's got to learn sign language.
Her hands were behind her back.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. Never mind. What?
Her hands were free. She was taking the gag out.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Who knows? She's a wild card.
Who knows?
Meanwhile, unluckily, we have Shaggy and Scooby. Say unlucky because, of course, the white figure reveals himself from like a different corner in one of the halls, and he raises his arm at Shaggy and Scooby and says, "You've angered the ghost, and now you shall pay." Unsure of what else to do, Shag and Scoob book it the other direction.
Always a good option.
Exactly, because not only is this a possible ghost zombie, this is a possible ghost zombie they haven't seen yet, wearing the mask that Daphne bought.
Right.
And this is a ghost zombie they haven't seen yet, wearing Daphne's mask, actively threatening them in a very ominous way. So as they run, they do manage to get away from the white cloak ghost, but run right into the two black cloaked zombie ghost things from before. I want to say they do trick these two zombie ghosts, but with some real racist shenanigans. If this had been on Disney Plus, it would have been one of the episodes that Disney now does where it says like at the start, like a warning of like, we know we fucked this up. We know this is
gives
bad.
zero fucks.
HBO was like, there's no laws at HBO. And you know that coming into HBO.
Max, whatever. Yeah,
HBO Max. Like, what are you gonna do? This is my warning to viewers that like it truly, Alexis, was bad. It like we've like mentioned some like pretty dicey stuff in the past. This is, at least in the episodes I viewed, top 2 probably of like, oh no, while I watched it. So watch it at your own discretion, people.
Can I just say that's also low key why I asked like which iteration of Scooby-Doo this was? Because when you said they were in China, I was like, oh no.
Yeah, you either like,
we know how things go when they go abroad. Yeah. Pre 1985, how things went in that show whenever they went abroad. It was something else. Okay, well, we no need to describe those antics then.
Yep. But everyone now knows that they go watch this episode. Don't be surprised.
Yeah.
So anyways, and maybe, you know what? I'll say that this is a Warner Brothers commentary because they immediately get caught. So I guess being racist doesn't pay is what Hanna-Barbera was saying in this moment. We'll say to make it better.
Sure. They're like, see, this is why you shouldn't be racist and stereotype against other cultures. You'll get caught as being a phony and being an asshole.
Exactly. You never win. Except I guess it's Scooby-Doo, so Scooby-Doo eventually. Scooby and the gang eventually win. But okay, whatever. Anyways.
In the immediate future, it never works out.
Yes. Immediate consequences. So anyways, they get caught right away. But instead of just throwing them into the back room with the other 3, the 2 ghost zombies tie Shaggy and Scooby up. But because it's New Year's, they put them on a huge pile of fireworks and light the fuse and leave. So,
okay.
These are some very like advanced ghost zombies. They could drive, they could kidnap, and they could explode people.
And I'm still like stuck on the whole like the plot to trap, whoever was going to come and save Daphne. Like when she was like, it's a trap. I was like, holy shit, these are some very advanced ghost zombies.
Yes.
Obviously they have it out for the rest of Mystery Inc. too. They don't just want Daphne.
They have like plotted and schemed and they have home alone to this entire temple through and through. Speaking of Christmas movies, holiday movies.
Yes.
So luckily though, Shaggy and Scooby are able to kind of like wiggle their way off the pile of fireworks and like stomp out the fuse. But they were like tied back to back. So they're like still tied together and they're like stumbling out of this room. And of course they stumble into the statue that had the secret room behind it. So Daphne, Fred, and Velma are able to get released and they're able to untie Shaggy and Scooby. And very interestingly, again, of like Daphne having a personality, everyone else is like, okay, let's get the fuck out of here. Daphne is like, they took my mask.
Okay, girl.
I'm gonna go get this shit back, baby. So like Daphne's not willing to put down a fight. She knows a thing of value when she sees it. She's gonna bring it to the auction house. Maybe this is when she makes her first million. Maybe it's her like 18th million. Unclear.
She gets $1
Either
million every
way.
year from her parents.
Just her allowance.
She probably just hasn't insured it yet. So she's like, there's no way I am leaving this country without that.
Yeah, it was 1970. They didn't even have car phones to like call on the mystery machine.
Right.
Insurance, insure your shit, people. You never know when ghost zombies are going to come try and take it. Okay. Right. If you have good enough insurance, it'll get covered.
It'll get covered.
Yes,
it will.
Yes.
Maybe that's like a force majeure type of thing. Like this was an act of God. It was a ghost zombie. I don't know.
Yeah, who's going to argue that?
Yeah.
Prove me wrong. We're in a temple. See what happens. Yeah. So Daphne, though, does note that as she was getting like brought into the temple, she did see something very noteworthy that she thinks is worth checking out. She kind of has like a theory going on here. So she brings the gang to the roof of the temple. I don't know how she saw the roof when she was being dragged in, but whatever. Maybe they took her on a little tour, but she did.
So this is where we're going to be keeping you prisoner.
She was like given the options of what place to be kept prisoner. She was like, it's cold out here. I don't think so.
My daddy will never pay your ransom if I'm cold when he finds me.
If I get hypothermia, you bet your ass you will not get this ransom. Peasants. Is this your first kidnapping? I can tell.
I guess.
I have been kidnapped so many times.
Which, sorry, also, speaking of insurance, I learned not that long ago that there is like kidnapping insurance, like super rich people
Yeah, especially for their kids.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. The Blakes actually might not be in any rush whatsoever.
See, okay.
They're like, yeah, our insurance will cover the ransom. We'll pay whatever they give us.
Quick whole thing about how I know that is that from John
because you're
Ramsey.
Super rich. Oh yeah.
Well, okay, well, yeah, like because Blake's fan is super rich. No, because okay, here's the whole kit and caboodle going on. Okay, so because John Benet Ramsey's dad like worked in like the defense industry, like various like defense industry like CEOs have been like asked in the past, like, yeah, like what would you have done in this situation? And they are all like, well, all of our kids are fucking insured for this because we're super rich and work for defense. So like, yeah,
of course they're gonna get kidnapped one day.
Right, like we're all prepared to get kidnapped one day. So we've insured our children on like ransom kidnappings. And so that's how I know that information.
Awesome. That's the sign of a good parent,
Are your kids insured against ransom kidnapping? They should be.
They sure are.
So Daphne for sure is.
Yeah. She's covered.
And so that's also why she's probably like, we can take our time. Father and mother probably
I need my mask.
Called my insurance and I need this mask to be insured. So they go to the roof, and what's on the roof, you ask? Well, viewers, you guessed it. A pigeon coop full of pigeons. Specifically carrier pigeons.
Oh.
And one of them just grabs one of the pigeons. Definitely not Daphne. She not just grabs
my nails.
Rat of the sky. But I hate pigeons so much. One of the carrier.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, you have to.
I don't love them, but I appreciate them.
Okay, yes,
as long as
I appreciate they are very smart.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not shitting on you. They're very smart and have adapted to this day and age in incredible ways.
But they do create quite a mess.
Yes, precisely.
Anyway.
So on the note tied to one of the legs of the pigeons is a note that has a date, time, and place on it, apparently confirming everything Daphne needed to know about what was going on here. So they set a trap for the ghost zombies that I will say actually goes like terribly wrong and ends up with like the ghost zombies, Shaggy and Scooby, literally like tumbling down the temple halls. And just in the nick of time, like Shaggy and Scooby kind of like duck in this like rolling of human beings and figures. And they kind of like duck as the three ghost zombies tumble out a window. Keep in mind, they're like on the side of a hill in a giant temple. But I guess luckily they fall into a tree and their cloaks get caught on the branches. So they're just kind of like dangling, like,
oh my God,
just like hanging out in a tree on the side of a cliff, which is also very scary.
Yes.
So would you like to guess, because we're about to now unmask them now that they're stuck, who is potentially behind these ghostly zombie figures? Because we've had so many characters in this episode to guess
the
from.
whole time I'm like, haven't we only met one person, just the shop owner? Who else was
we've
there?
met the shop owner and the art dealer.
The art dealer, that's right.
And the gang, and the fish.
And the fish, yeah.
They had to buy the food
agents.
from someone. Yeah. The insurance agent who like knew Daphne was probably gonna go shopping, so he's waiting on his phone. The Blake business partners, maybe.
Whatever, like
themselves.
whatever airline crew people they have, like loading the mystery machine up on.
The people who were underneath the dragon at the parade. There's maybe 5 of them there doing that.
I mean, since you say that there are multiple, so yeah, there are 2 people in the cloaks, and then there's a third person in like
is it a white
the other cloak, but with the
with
the white, yeah. I feel like the art dealer has to have something to do with this. I don't know why, but there's 3 of him.
You're like, it is supernatural and he has duplicated himself.
And he's doing it. Exactly. I'm gonna guess somehow the art dealer definitely has something to do with it. I don't know which one he is. I don't know how, but that's my guess. And I don't know who the other 2 are.
You are correct. It is the art dealer and 2 random goons.
Okay.
Classic. Like, if there's not enough characters introduced, we put in 2 goons fashion. And I will say that, like, watching this episode, you do actually see the goons when they go into the curio shop. You do actually see them like corner the curio dealer, being like, "Who bought the mask?" And that's how they know to go find Daphne. But I love that part out.
Okay, cool. Fair.
Fair. Anyways, they're unhooded by pretty much like no joke an MSS agent, which is the Chinese Ministry State of Security, which is basically like our FBI.
Yeah.
Like,
wait, who was he?
To arrest them.
Oh, okay. I thought that he also took off a mask, like, haha.
Oh no, like he like shows the gang like calls him and like,
oh, good. Wow.
Yeah, they somehow there's like a landline in the temple, perhaps. Either way.
Of course.
We'll actually get to that in a minute, because the MSS agent explains to the gang that they had a feeling that this art dealer was part of an international smuggling ring, but couldn't find the evidence to prove it. But you might be asking right now, like, what is this evidence? Because he literally just like stole a mask that some Americans bought on the street, and like, yes, either way, they're going to go to jail because they just kidnapped Miss Blake. But like, how is this evidence for smuggling? This, though, is where Daphne, I believe, with like the help of Velma and Fred, but reveals what the evidence is behind this smuggling ring, because this is not just any ancient mask. No. Masks and artifacts like these were actually how the smuggling ring communicated with one another. Because you see, and they like hit like a hidden button on the mask. Hidden within each artifact, including like behind the mouth of this mask, are tapes with recordings on them. And basically, I'm gonna explain.
Yeah, go ahead.
How this ties in, what this pipeline is. It is very convoluted smuggling ring they have going on. So, step 1, someone sends an artifact or piece of art to this art dealer. Hidden within it is a taped recording, and the recording reveals a time and location of an upcoming shipment of illegal goods. Okay. Step 2, the art dealer and the goons use the pigeons to send messages to, I guess, other goons or whoever's buying the goods, often in the backwards writing that we saw on the back of the laundry ticket, because that's hard to code to crack, to where the placements would be. And then 3, either the goons or, again, the buyer would get the pigeon, read the note, send the pigeon back, go to the time and place, get the goods, or maybe the art dealer would like get the goods and move them through the temple. And it turns out that this mask just so happened to be misdelivered to the curio shop. So
this was one of my thousands of questions.
Yes, because let me tell you right now that yes, this is where the episode ends. But I also had a lot of questions of like, how did this get misdelivered? And I add on the so they say, because I believe that Daphne was actually there in China to bust the smuggling ring. Yes, the Blakes made their fortune on like soap or something like that. But you don't become millions or billionaires without getting your hands dirty. So I think Mr. Blake was likely privy to a lot of, unsavory dealings and characters throughout his rise to fame and millions. And along the way, I think Daphne became involved with taking out the competition that smuggling rings like this pose to her family's own fortune. So her dad's meeting, I think, was just a front to bring Daphne and the gang into town. Her friends were just there also as a friend, so she could just be a teen out there partying for New Year's. And basically, I believe Daphne arranged this mask, this piece of evidence to be misdelivered. That's why the curio shop owner got cornered, like like thugs came in and like cornered him. Probably got his ass kicked because we don't see him ever again.
I was wondering what happened to him too.
We don't know. Probably dead, most likely.
Most likely.
But either way, why else would Daphne be able to call an MSS agent, aka the Chinese version of the FBI, to bring down this smuggling ring? What a happy new year for Daphne, after all.
Oh, amazing.
Yes.
I love it.
Now you may ask me your questions.
Well, that answers them on. Okay. Gosh, what was the first one? Well, oh God, that wasn't even. I was more, now all my questions are about just their convoluted plot. Like, how big are these masks that you can fit cassette tapes in them? No one ever thought to like look on the other side of the masks to see if
see mechanics.
Yeah. No. What was another one? Oh, yes. You said that they would transport their messages by carrier pigeon, like the one that Scooby found that he read in reverse. So they like write their messages in English though? Because didn't you say it was
just
in
flipped
English?
Around? Yep.
Flipped around. Cool.
Yep.
All
and
right.
The fact that they took a message off the pigeon, because it's like maybe that was just like a different message. They took the message off of one of the carrier pigeons, was able to read it because it was the exact same thing. So yes, it's just backwards.
Cool.
They go through all of this convoluted scheme and then just write it in English still. Yes.
In English, right.
Correct.
Like, why are they? Okay. So, and then that brings me to my next question. Maybe I missed it, but are the goons and the art dealer also Chinese? Or are they? Okay, they are. So, that makes me even more like, why the fuck did they write it in English? But I guess maybe no, like a lot of people in Chinese know English. So what? Unanswered questions. Okay. A couple of my other questions were answered. So then we will go back to the original one. The fuck is up with the green flames?
No idea. Never explained.
Oh, okay. Cool. All right. Yep. Awesome.
Yep. There's no explanation. I think with this art dealer, maybe actually like, if I was going to wildly speculate about this art dealer's past, it was that like he came from a crime family, but like was never actually into it. Like he always just wanted to be in the theater. And so like they only let him be like an art dealer because that was like as close as he get like quote unquote to the arts, but still like make a lot of money and also would have a good front for all the smuggling. But he clearly has a like flair for the dramatic, because he's using fucking pigeons to like send messages. Like
I was like, man, are they gonna love cell phones when those come out?
Like just drop a letter off. Like, damn.
Yeah.
So anyways, I think he had a flair for the dramatic. And so he was like, every time I enter a room, I need green flames. And so I think he just did that for his own enjoyment. Yeah. That's
when you first described it, I immediately just thought of like Game of Thrones, Sept of Baelor, the what are they? It's the green flames that get set off.
You know what? Anyway. Maybe George R.R. Martin watched this episode and was like,
he probably did. It sounds like it. I don't think I've seen green flames anywhere.
I mean,
other than
Game of Thrones is as convoluted as this plot line was. So perhaps.
Yeah.
Anyways.
This episode of Scooby-Doo could have probably used an extra like 5 or so minutes to help explain a few other things, or like maybe they could have taken out a few of those offensive scenes and like instead explain the plot more.
I really think that like the writers of this episode,
they just like gave up.
I think they came up with the like the clues before they came up with the explanation. Because like they do explain the pipeline, the smuggling pipeline.
Yeah.
So clear they're like, well, we'll put some explanation in it, but we've already animated and written all of the lines for like it being a mask and him having pigeons. So like, I guess this is how it works.
This is how it's gonna be. Do you know how long it took to draw all those pigeons?
I drew so many pigeons. It was like a graphic design, like college interns project, just like drawing a bunch of pigeons. Like, we need to use the cell animation for all these pigeons. Which is like actually also very funny because there is a huge like cell animation fuck up during this one where like Scooby like doesn't have an arm at one point. So like they really focused on the pigeons.
Yeah. They're like, we already messed that up. We have to get the rest of this right and we can't take these out. Do you know how much time we spent on it?
So yeah.
Wow. Great job. Amazing. What a good way for Mystery Inc. to celebrate New Year's, or at least a New Year's somewhere.
Yes, and for us to celebrate New Year's, which we will be doing this evening, at least when the episode is airing. Yes. And between now and, well, we usually say next week, but really between now and the first weekend of February, where again, we will be back. Don't worry. Like Alexis said at the start, we've got a lot of travel in December. We were recording this episode actually in November because we literally have no time in December. So again, we'll be back in February when we have some time to like regroup and get our shit together and start recording again. We do already have our new series arc picked out. We're very excited for it.
We do. So you have 3 months, or wait, how many? 2 months. I'm like acting like we're releasing this today. You have 2 months now to get ready for what we have in store next, and laying in wait and anticipation. Oh, it's gonna be fun. Exactly.
So between now in 2022 and February, first weekend of February 2023, in the future, who should our incredible audience tell about this podcast?
Well, I think that, and I hope you don't have an occasion necessarily to talk to one, but tell an insurance agent. You have plenty of time between now and February to just call one up, or if you know one, tell them. Hopefully you don't need an insurance agent because something horrible has happened or your child has been kidnapped. But tell someone who sells insurance plans. Yeah. Make sure, double check too if you have a child, see if they're covered for kidnappings and ransoms and stuff like that too while you're at it. Upgrade that policy if not, if you're a good parent.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, I think after you talk to an insurance agent, I think that it's kind of like a double whammy, that I think you should both make it your New Year's resolution to re-listen to all of our episodes, but to also tell all of your friends at your New Year's party tonight to make it their resolution as well to listen to all our episodes. So like resolutions are really hard to keep up with. We get it. But you know what? There's 31 days in January. This is like the 40 something episode. They got time to listen to an episode a day, maybe double up on a couple days. People are over resolutions after the start of January anyways, so they can binge it for all of January.
Yeah, exactly.
So tell your New Year's party
have us in your ear every hour of every day in the month of January.
Between now and February. And I mean, like, we'll see y'all in the new year. We're super excited to come into a new year with you all. Thank you all for sticking with us, enjoying our journey. Coming on this, have
a fun New Year's Eve.
Yes, coming on this cartoony crime comedy journey with us, and be safe out there for New Year's. And we'll see y'all next year.
See you next year in the future.
Bye. The future. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Saturday Morning Mysteries.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share, rate, review, leave us a like, and drop a comment. We post episodes every Saturday and bonus tune tangents whenever we feel like it. So please subscribe so you don't miss the shenanigans.
And if you want to follow us on YouTube, click the bell under the YouTube subscribe button to receive notifications when new videos are posted.
And if you want to subscribe to the podcast, we have no idea what you're listening to us on, so just hit the big subscribe button on whatever app you're using. We believe in you.
Give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at SatmornMist, all the abreves, and let us know if you have any episode or show requests by emailing SaturdayMorningMysteries@gmail.com.
Thanks to Jenna Kendall for the logo design and to Ava Sakiki for the music used during this week's episode.
See y'all groovy kids next week on Saturday Morning Mysteries.